Boyfriend doesn't take our relationship seriously, so I'm secretly moving out while he's at work to prompt real change. I, 31F, have been living with my boyfriend, 42M, for a little over 6 years. From the very start everything moved so fast and I jumped into a new life before thinking. There is so much to say about the 6-year history we have, mixed with good but a lot of bad. He is divorced with 2 kids. The kids were 10 and 8 when we started dating, now they are 16 going on 17 and 14 going on 15. I have no kids and never married, but I do have the best lil pooch who is now 13 years old. We have been good the last 6 to 8 weeks, so this may come to a surprise. No, there were no recent big fights. We have been going about life in this routine. I wake up, go to work, come straight home, walk our dogs. Oh, we just adopted a new pup 7 months ago, cook dinner, clean up, shower and then bedtime. I do this every day. My boyfriend doesn't have a conventional job, so he can go weeks or months without working. I have a stable 9 to 6 job MF. So he's usually home while I'm at work. Today is the first time he is going to work since the year started. After 6 years with him, it has never been easy to talk about hard topics or my feelings. I always felt dismissed. To keep the peace I always felt I had to play the part he expected and wanted. I can admit I am a bit of a people's pleaser and I do love very hard. I always gave him the benefit of the doubt and hoped for things to get better. At this point, I have isolated myself from my friends and family and I don't even recognize myself anymore. I want to be a wife and mother more than anything, but I am afraid the way we are going is not leading there. I feel like my boyfriend is okay with just being boyfriend and girlfriend. I have given everything I can, helping with the kids, doing all the cooking and cleaning, and prioritizing him by giving him all of my free time. He gets sensitive when I try to make plans that don't involve him, and usually it leads to big fights until he guilts me to the point that I just gave up on a social life. As I get closer to my 40s I am freaking out. Time is of the essence and I don't want to wake up in my 40s with regret. There is so much to say about the dynamic, but long story short, I feel like the only way things will change is if there is a big change. We are both equally comfortable in this routine. I know I am not living life the way I truly want. I have tried to bring up ways to change the dynamic, but it usually leads to him telling me things that sound nice but it never happens. He's all talk and no action. When I try to act on the things we talk about, it leads to huge blow-up fights. I do love him so much, but I just can't live life like this. My sister is moving, so there is an opportunity to take over her lease. My plan is to leave before he gets home from work, and to write a letter explaining myself. I don't want to break up, but I need him to start taking me and this relationship serious. I want us to be intentional and actually do the things we talk about. I wish I could talk to him instead of doing things this way, but I am afraid of a big fight happening. So, Ada for secretly moving out while he's at work? Update 1. I was mixed with emotions after reading it all. I ultimately needed time to process before writing it on Reddit. So I took most of the advice and I decided to wait for him to get home to talk instead of leaving a letter and leaving while he was at work. Before I get into the update, I want to address a lot of people's concerns on there being a possible DV situation and toxic relationship. You were all right. Update 2. He snatched the letter out of my hand and ripped it up. He spat in my face and called me trash. At this point I was trying to get my dogs and leave the house. He grabbed me by my hair and started hitting me. I tried my best to defend myself. I was screaming for help hoping the neighbors would hear me, but no one came to my rescue. I eventually lost the strength to fight back and just laid there on the floor hoping he would get tired and stop kicking and punching me. My dogs were hysterical. My youngest dog tried to bite him and protect me, but all it did was get him more upset. I used my body to shield my dog from getting hit. By the time he stopped and I looked at the time, it was midnight. He had locked himself in the room and I could hear him crying and screaming for me to please forgive him. I didn't have the strength for anything. I sat in my blood and tears, numb and dead inside. I still can't believe what happened and I am so disappointed in myself for letting the relationship last as long as it did. There were times he showed aggression, but he always found a way to convince me it will never happen again. When I thought he finally went to sleep, around 3 a.m., I took my dogs and left. I went to my sister's apartment about 40 minutes away. Luckily she was staying at her boyfriend's house, so I was alone. I still have not found the strength to tell anyone what happened. I called out of work and stood inside the apartment while my wounds healed. It'd been about 2 weeks and I am now seeking professional help and am planning on taking myself to the doctors to get checked out. I know I need to tell someone what happened, but I am feeling so embarrassed. Update 3. Hi everyone, please keep reading. Something insane happened last night. I just wanted to start by saying, I am so grateful for all of the support during this. After reading everyone's comments, and yes, I may not respond to every comment, but I do take time to read everything coming in, because Reddit and you all here are the only people I have told about this, and it's helping me put everything that has happened in perspective. I have been doing more and more research on DV. Before this relationship I have luckily never experienced a toxic relationship. All of my past relationships have always ended amicably with love and respect. I never had to deal with any boyfriend screaming at me, intense jealousy, etc., so it was very hard for me to even notice what I was in. My ex was very good at talking. We always used to joke that he should have become a lawyer because of how convincing he knows he can be. I am in a place where I am facing everything head on now, instead of hiding in my sister's apartment, hiding from the world. I can admit, I am a survivor. What happened was not my fault, and I want to apologize for how I came across blaming the Redditors for bad advice. The emotions I am feeling now is rage. I was trying to find someone to blame for what happened to me. And the only person to blame is the fucking psychopath loser ex of mine. I decided I am going to the police today. I was feeling bad for him, which I found out is called Stockholm Syndrome. His kids are 14 and 16 and I was worried that I would be the reason they wouldn't have a father around. Taking everyone's concerns for the kids into consideration, I knew it was my responsibility to protect them from this happening to them. I called the kid's mother last night to tell her everything that happened. Just to give as much context before going into the update, the mother and I's relationship started out bad. She did not like me or respect me. She did not agree with the big age gap and always made it a point to say I was the young bimbo trying to take the father's money, even though I have always worked and paid for everything I have. I have never asked for him to ever financially take care of me. Over the 6 years we have become more friendly. She eventually stopped bad-mouthing me to her kids and everyone else in the family. But I always felt the need to prove myself to all of his family and friends. So, I called the mother to let her know what happened and that I was planning on going to the police. I even sent her pictures and videos of my black eyes, cuts and bruises and bald spot from hair being pulled out. What happened next literally changed everything for me. I went from being sad and depressed to no feeling nothing but anger. I am shaking while I write this because I'm still in shock. She responded with, well, I knew this would eventually happen, because it happened to her. She went on to tell me the reason they got divorced was because he was beating her in front of her kids, and after 10 years of marriage she finally got a lawyer and divorced him. She had multiple restraining orders that he did not follow. He got arrested 2 to 3 times, but never convicted of anything because she dropped charges not wanting her kids to be without a father. I am furious. She was undocumented and her marriage was going to help her become a citizen. She ultimately got her citizenship from the process of VAWA through marriage to an abusive legal permanent. I am in so much anger because no one told me or warned me. I feel this could have been avoided if someone would have tried to warn me. So now, no more nice guy. Fuck. This guy's is going to jail. I will be making sure he never does this anyone again. I will keep you guys updated on the charges, etc. Update 4. I tried to write a second update but it was removed. I am in disbelief on how much negative feedback my posts have been getting. What is going on, people? I hate to bring focus on the negativity, but I feel the need to address the absurd comments. There are people accusing my story to be fake, and apparently there is someone out there using my story for their own entertainment. Let me make this clear. I chose to lean on Reddit because I was isolated from friends and family and was searching for support while I find the strength to tell my loved ones. When I made the original post, I had no idea it would lead to DV. I hope by me sharing it could help someone who is in a similar situation. I would like to think this a community of kindness and open-minded to each one's struggles. I know I struggle with putting into words how I feel and what's going on, especially in difficult conflicts. I might not choosing the right words or expressing myself correctly, but I am human, having a human experience. I'm doing my best. What's funny is now I find myself explaining myself to people who are committed to misunderstanding me. I have gone to the police. I will be seeing a therapist/psychiatrist tomorrow and putting in all the work to heal myself inside and out. I hope my story can shed light on the complexity of DV. Update 5. I honestly can't believe how much can happen in the span of a few days once you start actually moving instead of just surviving. But first, thank you, genuinely, to everyone who messaged me just to check in or offer advice. Some of you, total strangers, made me feel safer and stronger than I have in years. So, here's where things start to sound a little wild, but I promise every single word is true. The police were incredibly supportive. When I went in, I brought all the photo and video evidence, and then something completely unexpected happened. The detective who was assigned to my case immediately recognized my ex's name. Apparently, there was already an open file on him for violating a restraining order with his ex-wife earlier this year that never made it to court because she moved and didn't follow up. Here's the big twist. They started connecting dots with some stuff that happened in our neighborhood, and things got heavy fast. The detective gently asked if I had ever noticed anything off at the house, like missing mail or neighbors acting strange. I told them about the weird times when the kids would mention that dad lost it in the backyard, but their stories never made sense. Stuff I'd brushed off as teenager drama. Well, it turns out my ex wasn't just abusive at home. Apparently there have been a handful of anonymous police calls over the last couple of years about disturbances at our address, and, get this, as recently as 2 months ago, a neighbor's garage was broken into and vandalized on an evening when my ex was in one of his moods. Suddenly, the neighbors who never really talked to me started calling the detective to say thank you for finally speaking up. Just knowing that my leaving and talking openly about what happened might help other people who were scared of him, too, was overwhelming. The guilt I'd been feeling started to fade a little. On top of that, after I called his ex-wife and told her I was working with the police, we actually sat down together for coffee. The most surreal moment of my life happened in that Starbucks. She handed me a folder. Inside were her police reports, witness statements, photos from years ago. She said she'd been waiting for someone else to step forward to reopen those files with her. I realized this wasn't just about me, it was about breaking the silence around this guy for good. Him and the kids, that part is heartbreaking. CPS is now involved, and both kids are temporarily staying with their mom. I haven't spoken to them, but she called to thank me for being brave enough to tell the truth. It sounds like they're shocked but relieved because they finally don't have to pretend everything's fine anymore. Now, here comes the wildest plot twist. I promise I'm not writing a Lifetime movie. The other night, while I was walking my old pup and the new rescue, thankful every day they're both with me, safe and healing, I got a call from a totally unfamiliar number. It was my ex's brother, who lives out of state and who I'd only met once at a family dinner. Turns out, he'd been estranged from my ex for a long time and had always suspected something was off. He called to thank me for getting the truth out and, to my total shock, offered to write a formal statement for the police about some unexamined things in my ex's past. There's talk now that this might not have been his only abusive relationship, something that the family had quietly swept under the rug for decades. I have moments where I'm completely numb, but when I wake up in my sister's, now my, apartment, see my dogs next to me, and remember I did it, I finally got out, I feel a strange sense of power. It's not happiness, not yet, but it's a seed of peace. Therapy has been a godsend. My therapist is helping me process the trauma, and honestly, she's one of the first people who's ever said the words "you did nothing wrong." You're not alone. We're working on my guilt, isolation, and sense of self after so many years of living for him. I'm scared of relapsing into people pleaser mode, but for the first time those boundaries actually feel like they matter. Oh. For those who keep messaging about the pups, they're doing incredible. My old guy is spry as ever, and the rescue is blossoming, less hiding under the table, more tail wags and paw touches. Dogs know. I already know this road isn't going to be easy. There are memories and fears I have to face every day, like seeing someone who looks like him at the grocery store and freezing up. But now I have a project. I'm working with my therapist and my ex's ex-wife to find out if there are other women out there who were hurt by him, and we're talking about advocating for stronger interventions for repeat DV offenders in our area. If you're reading this and feeling hopeless or scared, please know, the isolation he created was his greatest weapon, and breaking it was the hardest and best thing I've ever done. If I can do it, so can you. I'll keep updating, especially if there are developments on the legal front. But I finally feel like I have my life back, or at least the start of it. Thank you for believing me, and for reminding me I'm not invisible. Update 6. Hi again, amazing Reddit people. I can't believe it's only been another week. Life feels like it's been stretching and compressing at the same time. First, thank you for all the DMs, offers of support, and people reaching out with their own experiences. I wish I could hug each and every one of you. Please keep reading, because this update is a lot. The biggest, craziest development, I actually ended up seeing my ex, unintentionally, at the police station. I was there, giving additional details and following up, with my new support squad of the detective and my therapist's encouragement. He was there for his bail hearing, and I guess no one expected us to cross paths because of the timing. The whole experience sent me into a panic spiral, but it also made something super clear. I am so much stronger than I ever thought. The moment he saw me, he tried that broken man act I know so well, crying, begging, muttering apologies. Don't worry, there was an officer with me the whole time. I was shaking, but I stood there silently and watched as the detective went stone-faced and didn't allow him a single word in my direction. Once he was out of sight, I started bawling, not out of fear, but because I realized I didn't care about his feelings anymore. I finally broke the spell. But the coolest, most unexpected thing happened after the group. One of the women, Jess, mentioned she runs a local animal foster for survivors, and she asked if I'd like to come by, volunteer, and bring my dogs to socialize. Yes. My oldest pup, who, by the way, has officially learned how to row at dinner time, spent a magical Saturday running around with dogs and people who just got it. I haven't laughed so hard in ages. I know the journey's not over. The legal process is long, and I guess there'll be more ugly memories resurfacing. But I feel like I'm not alone in my own head anymore. Between therapy, the survivor group, my friends old and new, and my dog's unshakable weird loyalty, I honestly believe I might be free, for real this time. Even in my worst moments, I look at my little pack and think, we made it. And we're not done yet. Thank you for giving me the space to anchor myself. I swear, Reddit, you have literally changed the course of my story. I'll keep you posted as court dates, advocacy, and, most importantly, healing continue. I see you. I'm grateful. I'm powerful now, no matter what. Update 7. Okay, first things first, the legal roller coaster is picking up speed. I've been working with my detective and my ex's ex-wife to assemble evidence for the DA, district attorney, and, get this, her folder turned into a binder. We're talking police reports, text messages, photos, even a few voicemails where you can hear him in the background screaming. When I showed up to drop it off at the police station, the detective gave me that wide-eyed "this is going to move things forward" look and said, "We don't usually have this much documentation." For a flash, I felt not small or invisible, but powerful, like maybe the years I spent documenting the smallest red flags, which he always told me was just me being dramatic, might actually matter now. They've officially charged my ex not just with assault, but with violating prior restraining orders and with terroristic threats, thanks to some threatening voicemails he left his ex-wife last year that she'd saved but never used, until now. There's a real possibility of a trial. I was shaking when I found out, but also felt, deep inside, a strange pride. It's not just about what he did to me, it's finally about the pattern he's left behind. But here's the part that's both heartbreaking and wild: his kids. I haven't reached out. Keeping boundaries is hard, trust me, but their mom told me through our mutual lawyer that seeing him in cuffs finally made sense to them. The younger one apparently told her counselor, "It's like someone turned the volume down in our house." My heart aches for them, but also, maybe this is their chance, too. Therapy. My therapist is guiding me through EMDR, which is as exhausting as it is helpful. I finally remembered entire nights I'd blocked out, and she said, "It makes sense, that was your brain's way of keeping you safe." Somehow, hearing that made the world less frightening. Work. I came back on light duty, and to my shock, a whole group of coworkers handed me a welcome back card, and 2 had seen my bruise the first day and felt something was wrong. Turns out, shame and secrecy really do keep us isolated. My dogs. The foster program is now my favorite place on earth. There are days I walk in with my anxiety up to 11, only to be tumbled by a rescue pup who needs as much love as he gives. My pups have their own dog pack family now. I even got invited to lead a workshop for survivors about the healing power of animals. Watch out, Dr. Phil. Now for the seriously unexpected update. When my ex was served with the official restraining order, delivered with a police escort, thank God, his brother, the one who called me, took a red-eye out here. He asked to meet over coffee as a peace offering. I was wary, but my therapist suggested if it felt safe, bringing a friend and meeting could help me reclaim my narrative. So my therapist came with me. She's incredible, and his brother apologized. But not just for his brother's abuse, he apologized for the whole family's silence. He shared, in tears, that he was the first person my ex ever hurt when they were teens, and he blamed himself for letting it go. I hugged him, maybe shouldn't have, but sometimes pain is pain, and we agreed this is where the cycle ends. He's even joining the campaign my ex's ex-wife and I are launching, a network for loved ones of abusers, because silence is what keeps these men powerful. Reddit, if you want info, DM me. Grassroots change, right here. I can't say I'm recovered, but the small things are different. The morning light isn't terrifying, my dogs climb into bed without trembling, I laugh without checking who's in the room. It's maybe the definition of freedom, not joy yet, but choice. Legal stuff continues. The DA has enough to keep him in check until the court date, and if you're still reading this, please keep your fingers crossed for all of us, especially the kids. The ex-wife and I have begun fundraising for local shelters and want to bring the foster/dog program to other survivor groups. I'll keep updating as new stuff happens. Honestly, telling this story is still awkward and humiliating at times, but if you're reading, just know, bad chapters don't get to be the end of your story. I'm living proof. And so are my dogs, who are now officially sleeping diagonally across my entire bed, with zero shame. Thank you again. I'll never forget what Reddit did for me when I almost forgot who I was. Update 8. You guys. If someone told me a few months ago how insane and transformative life would get, I would have stared at them with the blankest face. But here I am, and this update is truly wild, heart-stopping, and proof that healing isn't linear, it's a zigzagging roller coaster with the occasional loop-the-loop. First, the legal case is officially moving to trial. The DA sat down with me, his ex-wife, and the court advocate, and mapped out their whole case board and timeline. Think crime drama, red thread on a corkboard except it's real lives not TV. The flood of evidence between me, her, a third ex-girlfriend, yes, another survivor came forward after reading a Facebook advocacy post, thank you, internet, plus the brother and 2 neighbors. The DA actually said, it's rare to see the truth come out so fully. I had to physically fight a reflex to apologize for taking up so much official time with my story. Old habits die hard, but the DA looked at me and said, you're not just helping yourself, you're protecting a community. For the first time, I felt proud and safe. Like, finally, my voice is echoing past my own 4 walls. Legal stuff is rolling, my support network is shockingly huge now, my dogs are literally thriving, I've forgiven myself for the years lost, and I'm claiming every minute ahead more soon. Maybe next time in a happier key, if we win the case, or if the dog learns a new trick, or if the world just looks brighter for a minute. If you're still reading, you are not alone. None of us are. Thank you for holding me up until I could stand again. I promise, it gets better. And if it doesn't, at least there are coffee dates and rescue dogs waiting on the other side. Update 9. First, trial week. It's been emotional boot camp. The DA's office prepped us all, me, the ex-wife, the newly surfaced third survivor, let's call her L, and my ex's brother, still a hero, like an actual team. There was this life-changing moment during our meeting where the DA straight up thanked us all. Your documentation and mutual support is so rare, and so powerful. This will make real change, beyond just this case. That was the first time since this started that I felt not like a victim, but part of a literal movement. The judge granted a support animal request, so my oldest pup, in his best behavior bowtie, actually sat through my testimony. Crying now as I type it, the gentlest old soul, giving me courage when my voice shook. The prosecution didn't pull punches. They took us through every piece of evidence like a thread, my photos, police calls, voicemail rants, neighbors' statements, The ex-wife's heartbreaking timeline, L's story. Even my ex's own brother's testimony. There were tears. There were a few breakdowns. I nearly bolted when the defense tried to paint me as unbalanced. But my little dog Lo grumbled, and I remembered you all. I didn't survive hell to give up now. The effect? 2 jurors cried. The momentum was so real that even the judge paused to clarify that DV survivors are never at fault, which, I was told afterward, is almost unprecedented. It was like I was watching my old life burn down, but in the wreckage, a garden started sprouting. Yeah, that's cheesy. But it's also true. During the trial, the third survivor came forward with something we didn't have, a secret audio file, recorded years ago when my ex drunkenly bragged about never getting caught because women forgive everything if you love bomb them enough. The tape was played. You could hear the whole gallery go dead silent. By the end of my testimony, I felt whole. Body flooded with nerves, tears, and the weirdest, purest relief I've ever felt. He was found guilty on all counts: assault, violation of restraining order, terroristic threats, and harassment. Sentencing is next month, but the DA told me with this evidence, there's little chance of leniency. I half expected to feel joy, but in truth, it's relief and exhaustion. For the first time in so long, I'm not afraid. Not afraid, but oh my God, if that was the only news, this would still be a movie. There's so much more. Here go the bullet points because my brain can't handle paragraphs. The kids, through mediation and therapy, the state arranged for it, they both reached out to me for a supervised dog date. At first, I was terrified. But their mom, my therapist, and the advocate all signed off. We met at the Foster's dog park. I'll let you imagine 18 feet, 4 paws, and 2 teenagers racing my old guy around, the air finally free of secrets. The younger one gave me a hug, the older one said, "Thank you for telling the truth." I cried. Again, the ex-wife, L, and me, we formed a support group. Seriously. Every Sunday, we do coffee, sometimes virtually, sometimes in real life, always with at least one rescue dog each. We mapped out a resource sheet for new survivors at local clinics, and I even gave my first talk last week, shaking for hours but so proud afterward. Wow, the Foster Group, epic news. Jess, remember her? Asked me to co-lead their survivor animal foster arm. So, next month, I'm helping oversee a pilot program, Survivors Foster Dogs, Dogs Foster Healing. It's already filling up. Work. My office's HR invited me to advise on updating their domestic violence policy after I came clean about my story. They're scheduling an awareness seminar, with me as a guest mentor. Is this real? My own healing. EMDR is brutal but moving mountains. Nights are less haunted, joy flickers in, bright and fast, sometimes totally unexpected. I took myself out for dinner last night, alone, and didn't flinch once. Huge. The brother and I now text sometimes, mostly memes and dark jokes about cycles getting the axe. Publicity? I know this is wild, but a small local journalist covering the court case asked if I'd help with an anonymous feature about survivors organizing together. Tentative, but y'all, my story might actually change minds. My dogs, my youngest has officially mastered shake, and my old man is still a therapy star. Neither whimper at strangers' voices anymore.